Very warm welcome. This is Week in One as we take a look back at the top stories of the past week. I'm Jeremy Maggs. We're going to start with this. US President Donald Trump has once again fired out a tweet about something he knows very little about, and his sources are questionable as well. In a damning report on American TV channel Fox News, anchor Tucker Carlson reported inaccuracies about South Africa's land reform debate. Soon afterwards, Trump went on an uninformed tirade. He claims land is being seized from white farmers in South Africa and alludes to what he calls the large-scale killing of white farmers. Now, ENCA's Lester Kiewit sets the record straight.
Oh, hi, Fox News and Tucker Carlson. I'm Lester Kiewit from South Africa. We hear you've been talking quite a lot about our country lately, but we just have a few things to clarify for you.
We've got an exclusive investigation for you tonight. The president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa.
Firstly, it's Cyril Ramaphosa.
We've got an exclusive investigation for you tonight. The president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has begun, and you may have seen this in the press, seizing land from his own citizens without compensation because they are the wrong skin color.
Wrong again. The South African government is not seizing white South Africans' land. It's embarking on a complex and nuanced land reform program to undo the injustices of colonialism and apartheid. In the early 20th century, white minority governments enacted laws that dispossess black South Africans of their land. Now, 100 years after those laws were implemented and 24 years after the end of apartheid, there's still a huge disparity between white and black South Africans. You may deduce, or you may not, that land ownership therefore is still heavily skewed along racial lines, with the majority of white people, who make up less than 9% of the population, still enjoying economic benefits of apartheid, unlike the majority of black South Africans.
That is literally the definition of racism.
That's literally not the definition of racism, because in South Africa, racism has been institutionalized in the economy, with white people still enjoying overwhelming privilege and access to resources.
And the State Department replied with what is honestly an unbelievable statement. We're going to quote it for you at length. Here it is, quote, "We are aware of these reports and have been following this issue very closely for some time. South Africa is a strong democracy with resilient institutions, including a free press and an independent judiciary. South Africans are grappling with the difficult issue of land reform through an open process, including public hearings, broad-based consultations, and active civil society engagement."
The US State Department is right. Over the last 2 months, a parliamentary committee has been traveling across the country hearing from South Africans. They've received hundreds of thousands of submissions, which Parliament is still considering. South Africa is a strong constitutional democracy. It has lots of problems, but we're working on that.
The State Department did not mention that by following the rule of law, he has changed the country's constitution to make it possible to steal land from people because they are the wrong skin color.
Ramaphosa has not changed the South African constitution. The South African president can't unilaterally change the constitution. It requires a two-thirds majority vote in the National Assembly. Ramaphosa's ANC only has 62%. And yes, while the left-leaning EFF has promised to take them over the threshold, there's not even a bill before Parliament. And with another public participation process needed, it's highly unlikely a proposed constitutional change will happen before next year's general election, if at all.
In other words, nothing to see here, says Mike Pompeo's State Department. It's totally okay for South Africa to steal property for racist reasons because they are, quote, a strong democracy and held, quote, public hearings. Criminals take note. Find a buddy, start robbing State Department employees on their way to work. By their logic, as long as you outnumber them, they'll be okay with getting robbed because it's democracy.
Tucker, South Africa is far from perfect. We are still dealing with a legacy of more than 300 years of colonialism and apartheid. And the land question is one of the most important debates in South Africa's democratic history. It's still going to be a long and painful process for many South Africans. But oh yes, Donald Trump became US president with 3 million votes less than Hillary Clinton. But that's democracy.
And that's Lester Kiewit. Now, Trump's tweet came up at a land summit in Limpopo. The Deputy President, David Mabuza, assuring farmers that land grabs will not be tolerated and that state-owned land will be the first to be redistributed. He said government's land reform policy doesn't threaten food security or the economy. Here's reporter Mia Spies.
A land summit organised by agricultural magazine Landbou Weekblad and Agri-SA aims to find sustainable solutions for land reform from within the sector. And who better to get answers from than one of the people leading the process?
We are clear as the ANC government that all of this must not undermine the productive use of our land. We encourage you to continue to produce and produce. Nothing will disturb that production. As we begin this work, our immediate focus is on government-owned land. We have begun to audit all land parcels that are owned by government across all spheres, including land owned by our state-owned enterprises.
Mabuza says South Africa's government has learned lessons from Zimbabwe and land grabs will not be tolerated. Agri-SA says farmers are on board.
Today is about bringing farmers together, black farmers, white farmers, to really take leadership and to take the lead to resolve the land question and to take hands with government so that the farming community, the farming sector and government can come up with a creative plan to resolve the land question.
Van der Rede lashed out against those spreading fake news, including US President Donald Trump, who claimed in a tweet on Thursday that South African farmers are being forced off their land.
It's unfortunate that people go around and spread fake news, because a large part of that tweet is based on fake news, that the government is apparently expropriating land and taking away land. That is not true.
A commercial farmer attending the summit says he's optimistic after today's discussions.
It's definitely not necessary to panic. I think we're facing a great future. I think this conference is happening at the right time, definitely, and we must just keep the momentum now. And the government must bring aside the commercial sector, and the private sector must bring just contribute. And in no time we'll see very successful restructured agricultural setup.
The summit continues tomorrow, when the focus will include farming and partnership, specifically between farmers and farm workers. Mia Spies, Bela Bela in Limpopo.
Now, the week also started off on a sour note for racist Adam Katsavelos. He sparked public outrage after posting a video of himself on a Greek beach expressing his joy at not seeing a single black person. He uses the K word in this video.
Let me give you a weather forecast here. Blue skies, beautiful day, amazing sea, and not one inside. Heaven on earth. You cannot beat this. You cannot beat this.
And now to KwaZulu-Natal, where the use of the K word has landed an ANC Youth League member in hot water. She's resigned after allegedly using the word to refer to a fellow comrade. She's also been recorded instructing Indian party members to practice gatekeeping and not allow Africans to join the Youth League. With more details, here's Sipa Mandla-Goge.
Heaven on earth. You cannot beat this.
Mere hours after South Africans are still reeling from Adam Katsavelos' racial rants, another racism scandal hits. In a statement, the ANC Youth League says one of its members racially abused her colleagues. The league names her as Regional Executive Committee member Suzanne Gavenda. She apparently used the K word in reference to a colleague in a private WhatsApp message. The party says it welcomes her resignation. She was later recorded also apparently talking disparagingly about black South Africans.
Do not take their membership. Do not ask them.
In the leaked audio, a woman is heard instructing a fellow comrade to block Africans from joining the Youth League.
I know. Do not recruit African people from Walvida who are heading for trouble.
That's what we must protect.
The ANC Youth League provincial leadership says it's shocked and saddened by the latest scandal.
We have moved with swift speed to ensure that we act accordingly. The member has been suspended, and I've been advised lately that she has also resigned in the RSC. But be that as it may, we are going to institute disciplinary hearing.
Mshengu says the alleged racial outbursts will deepen the already strained racial tensions between Africans and Indians in KwaZulu-Natal. The woman in question was unreachable for comment after repeated attempts by ENCA.
You have reached the voicemail light service of 0.
Siphamandla Goge, Durban.
This is Week in One. When we continue, more details on the state capture inquiry that began this week.